Are you watching this video while eating food? Did you click it to pass the time? If so, I got no problem. I do the same exact thing. However, I don't want you to just leave with your time lost and your stomach full. I want you to leave with some more knowledge to tackle the world. So today, I'm going to teach you about journalism. After all, I was a journalism student at the Harvard of the Southwest, ASU, baby. Now, today we are learning about the SPJ Code of Ethics, otherwise known as the 4 pillars of journalism, something every good journalist must follow to be a good journalist. And to be fair, most journalists don't do this. They're mostly dogshit journalists in the world. However, when you notice a good one, they're probably following these rules. And the first one is seeking truth in reporting it. That's like the whole foundation of what a journalist is. You gotta tell people about what's going on in the world truthfully. The second one is minimizing harm. It is super possible to report on something, but do it in a way that unnecessarily harms people. Like, for example, if you're talking about Tim Tebow charity work, you don't say Tim Tebow, who lives on 100 Main Street in Colorado. That would just unnecessarily dox the guy, so you don't need to throw it in. The third one is being independent. You don't want a journalist who's in the pocket of somebody who's owned by some mega corporation, like basically every major news journalist. You want somebody who acts on their own accord, who isn't biased by any political party or powerful entity. And the fourth one, and the one we are talking about here today, is accountability. I knew that one. Accountability, being accountable and transparent. Because if you fuck something up, you need to tell people that you fucked it up. And I remember these from my schooling days. And so today we are talking about the final one because of the case that keeps on giving. Man with suspended license joins court Zoom call while driving. Now, I'm sure at this point you have seen this guy, Corey Harris, because he joined a Zoom call while driving while on a court case for having a suspended license. I'll just let the clip play.
Mr. Harris, are you driving?
Actually, I'm pulling into my doctor's office, actually. So just give me 1 second. I'm parking right now.
And the judge ain't exactly happy about that because the entire reason that he was joining the court was because he had a suspended license, and the judge was like, bro, what doing? And so he hit him with it's somewhat fair punishment here of going to jail for a couple of days.
I don't even know why he would do that. So defendant's bond is revoked in this matter. Defendant is to turn himself into the Washington County Jail by 6 p.m. today. Failure to turn himself in will result in a bench warrant with no bond.
And he wasn't exactly happy. And this went fucking viral. It was all over Twitter. People were just looking at the headline. Man with suspended license shocks judge after joining court Zoom call while driving. Here's another tweet about it. 9 million views. Charlie made a video about it. A bunch of people made a video about this guy because what he did was ultimately like kind of dumb, kind of silly. Like, why would you do something that dumb? And we thought that would be the end of it. You know, another silly person in this world. Little Dunning-Kruger experiment gone live. However, it didn't end there. Because after a few days, Corey Harris, when he got out of jail, spoke to the media and said, hey, man, y'all got this wrong. The man who went viral for driving on a suspended license was actually a victim of a clerical error, and his suspension should have been lifted 2 years ago. And this went way more viral, 18 million views. And he set the record straight on like a local news channel that basically said, hey, man, I didn't do anything wrong.
7 News Detroit reporter Kimberly Craig tells us Harris believes he's paying an unfair price for an honest mistake.
It has literally been pure OD hell. I've been assaulted. I've been followed. I've been laughed at. I've been ridiculed. I have been disrespected.
Corey Harris is planning to appear.
And I absolutely believe a lot of those things are true. And, honestly, not deserved. Even if he did make a dumb mistake, doesn't deserve all the negative attention that comes with being a meme online. However, it's even worse if he got all of that based off a false pretense, a belief that isn't actually true.
Defense attorney Dion Webster Cox.
My client doesn't want to go out here breaking the law. He's a law-abiding citizen. So now that we know what's going on, we're taking the steps to go forward to correct the problem, to put him in a situation where his license is in proper order.
Now, basically what they're saying in this video is that he did lose his license because he didn't pay child support in 2010. They suspended his license. However, that suspension was revoked by another judge in 2022, 2 years ago. So technically, he should be allowed to drive again. And a bunch of people then went on an apology tour.
Know at the time that they didn't know. So maybe he assumed that they knew.
Oh, I definitely jumped.
We're sorry, Mr. Harris.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
We sorry. You was right.
You were.
And basically, they're like, hey, everyone should have known that my license was unsuspended. He thought the judge should have known that, but the judge didn't know that. It was a clerical error because the court, the friends of the court, didn't show that it was unsuspended, that he was allowed to drive this entire time. And even Charlie made a video that, again, went even more viral about this.
But it turns out, like a transformer, there was more than meets the eye here. So while he may have been
What does that mean? What is it? Oh, because they can, yeah, actually, no, that makes sense.
driving with a suspended license on paper, it turns out that wasn't the reality of the situation. It was actually a clerical error. It is true that his license was suspended in 2010. However, it was rescinded in 2022.
Now, the argument that they're making basically is that, there's maybe some paperwork he had to do after it got unsuspended that he didn't do. But ultimately, it wasn't as embarrassing as it's made out to be, as if he had a suspended license and was driving on it, and all this extra hoopla that came with it was not deserved, right? That's the simple facts of it. But that's not where the story ends, okay? That we're talking about being accountable. We're talking about following the story all the way to its end. So we started off, man drives a suspended license and then goes live at a court case where he's talking about a suspended license, how embarrassing, how stupid. Then, it is actually a clerical error and a fuck up. He did have a license. It was unsuspended 2 years ago. This is the court's fault. To now, he never had a license ever. Ever. He never got a driver's license in his life. Let's just watch a clip.
I recall having one,
She's asking if you ever recall having a license.
having a driver's license.
I knew I had a permit. I knew that.
A driver's permit or?
I believe.
And now he's like, maybe I had a permit. I had a permit.
Yes, and I can't say no.
And that
Which is kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy to be like, I don't know if I had a driver's license. Most people would know that fact. However, in court, his tune was a little
that's
different.
odd because
Specifically because of the policeman.
Pittsfield Township police officer and prosecutor said during that October traffic stop, Corey Harris knew what was up.
At least twice during this traffic stop, he acknowledged to the officer that he did not have a valid license. Quote unquote, quote, actually, I don't have a valid license, close quote. The question was, are you a valid driver? Quote, I am not.
There was
Okay, so he literally told a police officer that he didn't have a license, that he's never been a valid driver. So it doesn't matter if his license got unsuspended. I mean, the reason it got suspended in the first place, I think, is probably just some, not paying child support, normal due process, a normal punishment or something. But he didn't even have one to suspend. He never had a Michigan driver's license in the first place. And then the judge kind of goes in on him a bit.
it was a failure on the part of Mr. Harris to do certain things. Now, I grant you that sometimes that can be a complicated process, but it was certainly not anybody's fault that that didn't happen other than that wasn't paid.
Then came the unexpected.
And Judge was low-key kind of mad that basically Corey Harris and a bunch of people online were blaming like the friends of the court for a clerical error when there was no clerical error at all. And what happened when he went back to court? They put him back in jail, man. He took another couple days in jail, which is tough, and then here is the defendant, the lawyer for Corey Harris talking about it.
With respect to what we want to do, and I cannot say anything is with respect to what my client has said, but when we talk about the hoopla, my client didn't start the hoopla.
Dude, look at the judge's face here. He is not happy when she talks about the hoopla.
Perhaps he's made some comments, but he didn't start the hoopla whatsoever. That was someone that was outside that was outside of his control as to how it went viral. He had no control over that, and that I'm going to stand on that. He did not
She's
send
gonna
it out
stand
to
on it.
Instagram. He didn't send it out to wherever. He didn't do that part. So
He's an all-time he could be a Twitch streamer tomorrow.
with respect to, did he have I don't want to try this case today at all, but what I want to do is focus on what's good. Now, what was good? That day in October, this officer here, that could have gone a whole other direction. And I'm so happy that you were so kind and courteous to my client. Thank you, officer. Thank you.
And basically, she's like, yo, there was a lot of hoopla. People were saying shit left and right. Let's just move on from this whole little situation. And Judge does not let her get away with that one.
Forward with this. He is here. This is what I'd like. Because
Counsel, let me just.
yes,
I would like to move forward too
yes,
on this case. We handle these cases all the time. But I will tell you, as you know, having appeared before me, the one thing I don't like is when people don't take responsibility for what they've done. When they take responsibility for it, we will use whatever we can to try to get you to another spot, because it doesn't behoove any of us for you to be in that spot. One other thing that I will say, when you say it wasn't started by him, oh, it certainly was. It certainly was when he made his first statement to WXYZ about blaming people for this happening. And he shouldn't have done it, because when you look at the whole thing, the person that needed to be blamed, and we can go back to a lot of other points, but I'm not here to embarrass it, but the person that needed to be blamed is the person that he was staring at in the mirror. He didn't do what he should have done.
And that, plain and simple, is the truth, right? He needed to do a certain level of things to get a license, to be able to drive with a license. He knew he was not driving with a license. He knew it was illegal, told the police officer that. And when he went to the news to say otherwise and then make everybody go on the apology tour and Charlie make his video and everybody else make their videos about how they were wrong about this embarrassing case, he just kind of tricked everybody, right? He kind of bold-faced lied to make it look not as bad. But it was as bad as the original story. Man showed up on Zoom call driving about a case where he has a suspended license, and he knew he had a suspended license. Plain and simple. Judge seems like a good guy ultimately, because he seems like he just wants this guy to do what is right, to make his life better, you know, just to move on from all of this. But he's not letting him get away with any bullshit about also looking like the good guy in the court, looking like the bad guy in the process. So I think he's actually doing a pretty good job at being a judge. Anyway, there it is. If you were curious, that should be the finale in the Corey Harris versus State of Michigan license debacle. If there's a fourth update, I'll make a video about it because I got to be accountable. I'm a knockoff journalist. Anyway, have a good rest of your meal if you're still eating. Goodbye. See you later. Goodbye. Subscribe. Goodbye now.